Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we review Billy Joel's 1986 album, The Bridge. It's good, but not outstanding in my opinion. This is the track listing, and these are the tracks I added to my playlist. 6 out of 9, so 2/3. This album's definitely still good, but it doesn't come together great. It's too slow, and the faster tracks aren't upbeat enough to provide any sort of good balance, so the whole album kind of drags. Most of the songs here are just mid-tempo, so the slower songs really bring the overall album speed down. The flow is alright, but not outstanding. It mostly puts the slower and faster songs right next to each other, which is fine, but it doesn't really help the album get any sort of overall feel going. It's just kind of up and down a little bit. Running on Ice is probably the quickest track, so it starts off pretty quick, but the next one is slow. Then tracks 3 and 4 are mid-tempo, leading into probably the slowest song on the album, Baby Grand, which ends the first side fine, but it does really slow it down. Side 2 tries to bring it back up with Big Man on Mulberry Street, but it's just not fast enough to speed up the album between Baby Grand and Temptation, which is another slow track. Last 2 tracks are both mid-tempo, although I will say Getting Closer is a pretty decent way to end the album. It's trying to end it on a high note, which works out well, but it doesn't really change the character of the rest of the album. It's kind of a bunch of interesting stuff in between Running on Ice and Getting Closer, which are definitely the 2 most interesting tracks on the album. The genre here is mostly just late 80s pop. There are some rock new wave elements, but it mostly just sticks to sort of traditional pop sounds. A lot of slow stuff on this album. There were 2 singles released before the album, Modern Woman and A Matter of Trust. A Matter of Trust was the big radio hit here and the big one off of this album to make it onto the radio for sure. My favorite track here, definitely the opener, Running on Ice. It's the only really quick one here, and it takes some good new wave inspiration that I really enjoy. Definitely a standout from this album. I rank this album 12th out of Billy Joel's 13 albums, so it's second to last here. I still like it better than his classical album Fantasies and Delusions, but it's definitely the weakest out of his mainline catalog. There's only really 2 or 3 songs here that I really love. Most of the album's still good, but I just don't find the sappy slow songs particularly interesting here. There are just too many of them on the album, and there just isn't a good balance. Some of his other albums have slow songs, but something like Turnstiles has some slow stuff, but it also has some quick stuff that balances it out really well. So this one really just, the bridge does not come together very well. Even Stormfront has enough quick stuff to be sort of marginally better than the bridge, in my opinion. Additionally, this album is not my favorite from 1986. That goes to Queen's A Kind of Magic, which has the faster rock elements that this album is missing and is definitely superior. Even though both of them are kind of in the sort of late 80s pop field, A Kind of Magic has the right inspirations and really comes together a lot better. So that one's definitely better. Next up is Talking Heads' 1986 album, True Stories. It's a film soundtrack, I guess, but not entirely, so I'm interested to see where that goes. I might watch the movie, but I'll probably listen to the album first. So stay tuned for that, and as always, stay minty.